Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Franco Jazz Studios. And every once in a while, we get to slow down. It's nice to go to the club and have a good time and do all the beautiful things happening in real time. However, there are times where we have to remember those who have played a great role in our musical lives. And upon reflection, I think about Maceo, Kemp, and friends, as you can see right there on the wall. I'd like to share with you an interview that I did with Maceo, Kemp, and friends of WPFW 89.3 FM, the station for jazz and justice in the District of Columbia. Just a few. Here we go. Welcome to WPFW 89.3 FM. I'm your host, Franco AGBRO, and we're live at 5. I hope you all had a great celebration, celebrating this week of thanks. I'm not talking about Thanksgiving Day, I'm talking about, let's extend it to the week of Thanksgiving. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the studios of WPFW right here on 1919 King Street, the Maceo, Kemp, and friends, getting us into the vibe of this wonderful celebration of thanks right here in the nation's capital. Take a listen.
Lay down my burdens way down, way down, way down, my burdens way down. Ain't no study, one no more. I ain't gonna study. 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 I ain't gonna study no more. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield way down, way down, way down. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield way down. Ain't gonna study no one no more. I ain't gonna study. I ain't gonna study. I ain't gonna study. No, 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 no. I ain't gonna study. I ain't gonna study. Oh, no, no. Study no more. Way down, way gonna lay down my bed, way down, way down, way down. Oh, lay down every morning, my bed, I'm way down. I'm studying. Oh, I don't study no more. I don't study. I don't
Ladies and gentlemen and children, I hope you're tuned in right here on Live at 5 WPFW. I'm your host, Franco AGBRO, and the music you have been listening to is the music of Maceo, Kemp, and friends. Maceo, it is my understanding that you are a Washington institution. Why is that?
That's not so. But anyway, I do all that I can to make music in this town.
Okay.
Something that I love. I've been in the area for about 26 years now. Played in a lot of different churches, primarily, and other venues. And so I guess some people like what I do.
Well, it's believable because when I was reading your bio, I was reading on myself and my hands were trembling. And the reason being is that I haven't seen any individual that has had so many very high accomplishments in terms of your education.
You're very kind.
Well, can you talk about, you went to Yale to study music, right?
Well, actually, I went to Yale to study. I did study music while I was there. I studied English while I was there. So that's very true.
Okay, and so how did that come about? Where are you from originally?
I'm from a small town in North Carolina called Lumberton. Population approximately still 20,000 people.
Really? Okay.
We're right on Interstate 95, about a day's drive from New York City, about a day's drive from Miami, Florida. So that's it. Appeared. Well, I was in Latin class there. We had a substitute teacher, and I gave her the impression that I was a Latin scholar. Her husband was a radiologist, and he had graduated from Yale. Right. So she marked the impression that I gave her. And later I was at a piano competition in Greensboro at the state level, and her daughter also was there, so she introduced me to her husband. And he was an alumni recruiter for Yale. So she says, George, this is a young man I told you about. And so from there, the process began.
Wow. And so, like your musical inspiration from the beginning, how did that get started?
I really don't know. I think I'm a sound. I call myself a sound junkie. Really, I love sound, and they tell me from the time I began to walk, I gravitated to going to the piano, and so that's what I've done. When I first started taking piano lessons, I didn't have a piano in the home. I took for 5 years before I got a piano in my home, and I always practiced. I would go from door to door and ask to practice. So it was something that I really, really wanted to do.
So it was just in your DNA.
And it's interesting that that's so, because neither of my parents, my mother sang a little bit, but my father, not at all.
I was not interested in that.
No, and was not really interested in me being a musician.
Well, gender. I'd like for you all to play some more music, and I'd like to talk to other members of the group.
Very good.
If you don't mind. Folks, you're listening to Maceo, Kemp and Friends right here on WPFW. I sincerely hope you had a wonderful celebration of Thanksgiving. This is a nice way to end it towards the weekend on a Friday evening with the music that you're bringing to the studio. Thank you all for being here.
I think I want you to do Greatest Unfaithfulness.
All right.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Summer and winter and springtime and the harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer unto night. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings on mine with 10,000 peace song. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Early in the morning, when I wake up, new mercies I see. Thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness.
Doesn't shake the cold out of you. I don't know what will. We can't help you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Wow. All right, now that I'm recuperating, I'd like for you to introduce. I'm going to go around the room. Everyone introduce themselves. Who are you, Miss Madam?
I'm Bonnie Burnett, and I'm the Minister of Music at Fellowship
Can you
Baptist.
go ahead. Close to the mic. I'm sorry.
I'm Bonnie Burnett. I'm the Minister of Music at Fellowship Baptist Church, where the Reverend Patricia Hale Spears is the pastor.
Oh, is that right?
And I have journeyed here from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
Wow. Just for Thanksgiving? You here for Thanksgiving or?
I have been here now for 13 years.
Okay. I like the clarification. Close enough. Okay. And I'll go to my man there on the trombone. Please, can you introduce yourself? Good evening, actually.
Good evening, actually. My name is Fred Carney, and I'm with the music ministry at 3rd Street Church of God. I work here with the district government, city I love, as an attorney.
As an attorney? Oh, wow. That's great. Well, welcome. And who's next? Let's go to the bass man.
Good evening. My name is Wardell Howe, local musician,
Okay.
a friend of Maceo.
All right.
I like the way you pronounce it, though.
Okay.
It's cool. It's cool. I'm gonna use that on sometime. But I'm just happy to be here with these people, fellowshipping.
Okay. Great. Well, nice to
And
have
I
you.
think I remember you,
I
Franco
do,
Jazz.
yeah, Franco Jazz.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's a small world.
It is. It is.
When you said one of Harvard, I keep thinking about it. I was like, this guy, I've known him for a while.
Franco Jazz.
Yeah, Franco Jazz.
Good to see you again, brother.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thank you for being here. And on drums?
My name is Greg Reeves. Being another local musician, a guy that Maceo calls every now and then.
Okay.
Hanging out with him.
Well, one of the things that kind of jumped out at me when I was looking at your information you provided is the fact that when I see you and what you've been involved with, music, in all kinds of, just like I separate it into 3 categories. And I see law, I see religion, and I see music. And I'm curious as to what you can tell us about all those different pursuits that you've undertaken and how you got involved in them and what you're doing with them.
Well, the legal I did from my parents. And I did enjoy some aspects of the law, but not really.
What is it about your parents when you say that?
Well, I met They didn't want me to be a musician, so I had to do something, or mother would have died. So in honor of her desires, we went to law school when I graduated from, and I didn't even major in music, I majored in English. That was, again, as a result of my parents not really wanting me to do music. But when I was in college, I probably practiced more than people who were actually music majors. And an old lady told me, she was in her 80s and I was maybe about 20, and she told me, she said, son, you should choose for your vocation that which you would do whether or not you got paid for it. And it took me 20 years, it was one of my 40s, and then I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I always wanted to, but I never did. And so, as Robert Frost said in that poem, I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Right. Wow. So it's sometimes one would argue, like when people get engrossed in particular pursuits, that they're either running away from something or trying to get their minds occupied by something, which is...
I was running to something. What my love, that's exactly. I was running to it. It's, as I told you earlier, it was something that I really wanted to do. As soon as I could walk, I was attracted, and I'm pretty sure that if there's an addiction, I'm addicted to sounds, certain sounds, and that's why I love it so.
I was looking at the in terms of religion. You seem to play a very critical role in. Religion seems to play a critical role in your life, and you've used kind of music in that way. Because we've had a number of musicians that have come through here, and they've gotten their beginnings or trainings from the church. It started in the church, and I'm trying to figure out what is it about the church musically that grooms people.
Well, I can't speak for everybody because I went to a Presbyterian church, and so my musical background at early was more Eurocentric than Afrocentric. It was only in my late teens and 20s that I became. I always say about my church at home, if it weren't written down, we didn't do it, and that's really not the typical Afrocentric experience.
I've heard that saying in a different way, though. If you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book, right? Okay. Well, I've heard.
And I come from a very educated Presbyterians, and particularly Black Presbyterians, are about education. We had schools. In fact, the church in which I was reared had a Black high school. This town did not have a Black high school, so my church provided high school education. The old man who started the school was born in 1868, and he went to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. He could read Latin and Greek, which not a lot of folk born, but he was a Black man, and he took his skills and he had that school, and I don't think he taught the students Greek, but he did teach them Latin. And my mother went to that school and my father went to that school. So we were really about education, and all of the people surrounding me were about education, which was good. But at the same time, because of that love of being the book and everything, that we took away from the African part of us, that improvisational part. So it took me a while to get to that. And when I did get to that, I was like, this is what I need to be.
We'll talk about the African part later on, but I'd like for you guys to play some music. And I think folks are out there were saying, like, listen, we want to hear some soul, gospel, that whole, you guys are going to give us what you got, okay? Folks, I'm here in the studio with Maceo, Kemp, and friends right here on WPFW 9.3, the station for jazz and justice. Thank you all for listening this morning.
this morning with my mind was stand on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind was stand on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind was stand on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Ain't no harm to keep your mind stayed on freedom. It ain't no harm to keep your mind stayed on freedom. It ain't no harm to keep your mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Oh, well, oh, oh, and then I talk with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh, walk, and then I talk with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh, walk, and then I talk with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Just change it to justice. Woke up this morning with my mind was stayed on justice. I woke up this morning with my mind was stayed on justice. I woke up this morning with my mind was stayed on justice. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
Amen. You can listen to the music of Maceo, Kemp and friends right here on WPFW 9.3 FM. And I'm your host, Franco AGBRO. Thank you all for tuning in. So the songs that you do, that's a gospel. How do you classify that as a gospel?
Well, it is gospel, but we're also using it as a song for social justice, civil rights, economic rights. And that's where my music is going these days, is toward that thing. And that's why another reason that we're here with the Sister Lucy Murphy, who's an activist and has been one for a few years.
Okay.
And she's helping me along with Sister Burnett. We have Jamming for Justice. And we do that every fourth Sunday, 6:30 to 8:30 at Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ, where the Reverend Graylin Hagler is the senior pastor.
All right.
5301 North Capitol Street, Northeast.
Folks, if you're listening, you've been listening to the voice of Lucy Murphy. That was Lucy Murphy right there.
And I'm helping Maceo Kemp with Jamming for Justice at Plymouth Congregational Church. The pastor of Plymouth is the chair of the Poor People's Campaign here in D.C., and this is a Poor People's Campaign activity.
Okay, as you know, D.C. is a very transient city, and sometimes people don't get the essence of certain campaigns or, whatever it is, the movements, or,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like you to talk to us about the Poor People's Campaign. How did that start? And first of all, what is it, and how did it start?
Well, it started as part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King in '67.
Mm-hmm.
They launched the campaign, and unfortunately, Dr. King was assassinated before he could bring the campaign to DC. But the campaign did come to DC in 1968,
Mm-hmm.
and a temporary village was built around the Washington Monument called Resurrection City.
Mm-hmm.
And poor people came from all over the country. A lot of the leadership was poor Black women, and the National Welfare Rights Organization, and other organizations. And people came by mule train, by bus and car, and walking from all over the country to demand rights for poor people, demand living wages and housing and health care. And we have revived, 50 years later, we're reviving that campaign. Reverend Dr. William Barber in North Carolina, Maceo's state, Maceo's birth state. I think Maceo considers himself a Baltimore, Washington musician right now, but and he has something called Repairers of the Breach, which has launched the Poor People's Campaign for 2018.
So it sounds to me like the Poor People's Campaign is like an umbrella of different groups. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. So certain groups, although that might not be the agenda, they put that as part of the agenda. Is that it? Or
you get.
I'm just trying to understand.
You're getting too complicated for me, my friend.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway.
But it's about jobs, peace, and justice.
Yeah. I just think the more people are informed about events, the more likely you're able to attract them to be a part of it. Because more and more it's become a challenge to be able to convince people to do kind of anything, really. True. And I like the fact that you guys are using music as a vehicle to do that. So the Jamming for Justice, there are other performers, right? How many performers besides you guys?
Well, it's open, and so people come as they will. We announce it in churches. We announce it on Facebook, PFW, other venues, and we try to attract people. So we have the last one we had. I think would just be our third one this coming.
Yes.
This coming one will be our third one, and the second one was really successful. We drew people from Baltimore to DC. And I found that interesting and just uplifting and inspiring, that what we're trying to do is gradually gathering and drawing people like a magnet. And that's what we want to do for it to grow. Any of you who are out there who are listening, please come out on this coming Sunday, 5301 North Capitol Street, Northeast, Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ. We'd love to see you.
The last time we not only had musicians and singers, but we had storytellers and poets.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's like an open mic. Where we ask that people share things on the theme of justice.
The theme of justice.
Yes.
Okay.
In that light, I have a cousin who's coming up from North Carolina who's done some spoken word. He's an ex-NFL player, and he's coming up and he's going to give us some spoken word this coming Sunday. And our storyteller, who's not with us today, but she just assured me that she will be back and with us on Sunday. Quite something to hear.
Yeah.
There's a spoken poet I know from North Carolina by the name of Gary Liddy. I don't know if you know him. You'll see, he used to be part of the Washington Poets. They have these spoken word poets. So the next time, maybe he might get involved with you guys and stuff, because he's really good blues spoken word.
If you would give us some information, we will definitely reach out to you.
Yeah, many years ago, when the spoken word, you could see that everywhere, right?
Well,
all right.
Joy Jones keeps the spoken word going.
Where?
Here in DC.
Any location?
Various locations.
Okay, well, she needs to let us know so we can let people know about
Joy
that.
is the librarian at Francis Gregory Library.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, please give us some more music, and as people are enjoying their weekend or the week with family and friends and loved ones, we hope that your dinner table conversations are constructive, positive, and forward-looking. More from Maceo, Kemp, and friends right here on WPFW Live at 5.
We're going to do another one from the Civil Rights Movement, Old Freedom. Miss Lucy, I know she knows that, and Miss Bonnie knows that as well.
Oh, oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. Cause I'll fight for my right to be free. No more crying, no more crying, no more crying. Oh, no, more crying. I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. They'll be singing, voices ringing, there'll be freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, and I'll fight for my right to be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. I'll be a slave. I'll be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free. I said that I'm not fight for my right. No, I'm not fight for my right. I'll fight for my right to be free.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've been enjoying the presentations. Maceo Kemp was a major inspiration for the 6 Feet Party midweek live music relief on Wednesdays. For those of you who have been following and who've participated and were there, where we had Maceo Kemp and friends, and then Kevin Lambert
We are,
open
we are
piano.
checking the technical
So-
aspects here.
I'm just afraid
Sorry, folks.
we'll have some like.
I'm going to rephrase that, a little technical difficulty here.
So you know how it goes,
What happened?
live and direct. I hope you
All right.
enjoy the presentation. Here's more.
So my question to you was, how did you get it? You know, we were talking earlier about, you know, the your musical influences and stuff, and how all of a sudden you graduated towards Africa. You discovered the African part of music. How did that happen?
I know. Again, as the church was down,
Right.
found this one at your conversation. So I did it very quiet.
Mhm.
And it was after I went to work on 60
And I heard some of the fellows from Durham playing, and I go, "What is this music?"
Mhm.
I go like, I really like that. Because in my hometown, some of the people who did the gospel, it wasn't very good. So it was easy sort of to turn your nose up at it.
Mhm.
They have wonderful musicians doing it now, but when I grew up, it wasn't too swift. And
Was it because the church needed people to play? And
well,
they let
in my
you
church,
and-
as I say, it was Presbyterian. We were educators, and we looked at what was on the written page.
Right.
And so, as I say, it was actually it was almost frowned upon if you would say amen.
Okay.
We were very Eurocentric oriented. Let's tell it what it was.
Okay.
But at any rate, I got to Durham at North Carolina Central Line in the music department, and I'm listening to these people. And I'm going like, and there was one fella there who was just amazing. He played all kind of runs and scales. His voice was a cross between Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, and Rance Allen, if you can imagine all of that.
Wow.
And he was just awesome. And I go, oh, I got to do some of this. So I took a class in jazz, 3-week course. I learned more about music in 3 weeks than I had learned all my life. And one of the things that happened was that the fellow who taught the course was Jerry Coca. Duke Ellington called him one of the foremost jazz educators in the country.
Wow.
And he was describing a chord. I can't remember what chord it was, but he said in the illustration, he says Chopin used this chord. I love Chopin. And he hit the chord. I said, oh yeah. Everything started to click then. So when I started my classical studies again, I was able to analyze what I was doing. Before I had just played by, the notes were there, and I like doing that, but it's much better to understand what you're doing than when you have a basic understanding and then you just start expanding.
Expand from there. Wow. That's amazing. It's really interesting because like some months back, I had some Brazilian musicians, who were classically trained, and so we had this conversation as to the fact, because there's a particular kind of Brazilian music called choro, and that choro music is improvisation, and just, we talked about the fact that, the classical, learning the European music is usually an expensive endeavor if you're not in the right place, right? I mean, those classical instruments, wind instruments and stuff like that, you have to be of means or through some kind of scholarship. It's not very accessible. But it was just interesting to have that conversation to see how, culturally people navigate from one thing to another, and the beautiful experiences they have along the way. Have you been to Africa by any chance?
No, but I was Rubens in college, and then when I came to DC, Bukum Cafe on 18th Street.
Yeah.
So I might as well have been.
And all the African festivals, they used to have like a Georgia Avenue, see all this cultural representation, the Caribbean,
I've been to Jamaica
You've been to Jamaica, okay. So you
with a play about Paul Robeson. We were the guest of the American Embassy.
Mhm.
They renamed the library at the American Embassy in Jamaica for Paul Robeson. I think it had been when we were there, it's been several years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Paul, it was an anniversary of Paul Robeson's 50th year visiting the island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
really amazing.
Great celebration. What did you do with it?
We did a play, Anglo-Nigerian, interesting story of who he sings baritone, and someone told him he'd never heard of Paul Robeson.
Wow.
And he was singing in England, and someone said to him, "You sound like Paul Robeson." And so he began to do some research about who was Paul Robeson, and we found out all of the wonderful accomplishments. He said, "This man's story needs to be accessible to everybody." So he wrote a play, and he brought it to DC to debut, and I was his accompanist. And then after that, we did and so we got to go to Jamaica and do it there.
Wow. That's awesome. What an experience.
It was a wonderful experience.
Well, please go ahead and give us some more music. I'd like to at least get one or two more songs in here. While you guys. Okay.
Teo Aluko.
What was his name?
Teo Aluko.
Teo Aluko. Okay, that was the name of the
actor.
Playwright. Is it playwright or?
Yes, the playwright and the actor.
Playwright actor that he was talking about, folks. Just to be fair and just to make sure that like he gets some notoriety too, exposure actually. All right, folks, you're listening to Maceo, Kemp and Friends right here on WPFW. They're about to do another song. What you guys got for us? What's next on the menu?
Miss Lucy brought with us a song that you didn't write. One of your friends.
No, Matt Jones of the Snake Freedom Singers.
Okay, Matt Jones. Okay, cool. All right.
After he left the Freedom Singers, but he was still writing songs.
Started when you feel comfortable.
If we can do it in C.
Okay, very good. I got you.
It's written in G.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
If you think of the Middle East in this modern time, you can't help but say the word Palestine. People there have lost their land, some have lost their home. They live in other countries, their freedom almost gone. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love. There seems to be no answer to give us the reason why people cannot live, so no one has to die. We gotta take a stand for freedom. Take a stand for truth. Take a stand for justice. That's what we've got to do. Because Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love. People there are rich. People there are poor. Some have education. So what are they fighting for? Fighting for their freedom, fighting for their land, fighting for their children. Let's help them take a stand. Because Palestine needs her freedom.
our love. Palestine, Palestine needs her freedom, needs her freedom. Palestine, Palestine needs our love, needs our love. People of all countries, of every race and creed, we need a new beginning. Let us plant the seed of love, and let that love seed grow. Plant the seed for everyone, so all the world will know that Palestine, Palestine needs her freedom, needs her freedom. Palestine, Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Palestine, Palestine needs her freedom, needs her freedom. Palestine, Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Palestine, Palestine needs her freedom, needs her freedom. Palestine, Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Palestine, Palestine needs her freedom, needs her freedom. Palestine, Palestine needs our love, needs our love.
If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the music of Maceo, Kemp, and Friends right here on WPFW. Beautiful music. I'd like to say that, it seems to me like music like this, freedom music, as you like, I think that's what you called it, freedom music, it's more relevant than ever. What would you say about that?
I agree with you 100%.
Anybody can chime in if you have something to say. Please go ahead. Okay.
Well, Maceo Kemp is the favorite keyboard player of Yara Allen, who is our fearless leader in the Justice Arts Division of the Poor People's Campaign.
Okay. And so, which means what? I mean,
it means that, here we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that the Poor People's Campaign recognizes the importance of culture, because over the last 50 years, people have forgotten to call on singers and musicians, or have disrespected singers and musicians, not recognizing this is the heart of the people and the heart of the movement. If we want a movement to sustain itself, we've got to have culture.
Of course, and when you look at the civil rights movement, a lot of it was a very significant part of that movement was music.
Yes.
That gave people a certain understanding of the environment around them and the situation. So I appreciate the fact that you're reviving that and bringing that to the forefront. Somebody has to do it, and it's beautiful music too. It's enriching music. And we need to pass that on. That's something that's very essential to living a whole life, a full life. So we appreciate you doing that. Keep it up. What do you have any contact info? What's your contact info if people want to get in touch with you? I know you guys have this show. Once again, that show is
Sunday
at
5301 North Capitol Street, Northeast Washington, D.C., Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ.
And this is for the Poor People's Campaign, right?
It's music and arts event.
Okay.
And that's every fourth Sunday. So we'll be back again.
So this is a continuous thing.
It's a
I
continuous
need
thing.
to know that. I did not know that. Okay.
And we're asking people who want to participate or want to lead a song, if they can come early, come at 5:30, and if they have sheet music or chords that they can share with other folks, so that we can all play together,
Okay.
same key.
Yeah. Well, you're the musical conductor, right?
Well, This is how I feel strong living.
So,
I
you
try
know,
to be a sister.
Yeah, because that stuff can get
And,
it kind of get loose, you know.
And we
If
have
it's not organized, so
we have a poet. We have a poet MC. Nikichi Feaster is going to be our poet MC, and Reverend Julianne is going to welcome Robinson. Reverend Julianne Robinson is going to welcome us to the church.
all right, great. Well, I wish you guys the best, and like your contact info. How can people get in touch with you, just for other things that you might be involved in, or
Email address
Maceo
Kemp, MACEO KEMP 21202 at Gmail. Maceo Kemp, MACEO KEMP 21202 at gmail.com. Phone number 202-422-6691. 202-422-6691.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'd like to extend my greatest gratitude for you guys being here on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Franklin Fridays, and and I wish you the best of luck. And this Thanksgiving holiday, and the holidays in general, just please be safe. Take care of your loved ones, and folks, you guys listening out there, enjoy the holidays. I hope you had a great week so far. And let the celebration continue. Thanksgiving is not just one day, it should be every day.
Amen.
I'm out. See you next Friday. Peace.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the interview that I did with Maceo Kemp and friends. We miss Maceo. So all that information that you've heard is no longer, unfortunately. However, I'd like to say that the six-figure party midweek live music relief was inspired by my relationships with Maceo Kemp and friends prior to the pandemic. And I'm very grateful and thankful that I had those relationships because they were soulful, they were from the heart and from the soul, and they were representing culture, the real culture, in a time of need, in a time of desperation in certain ways. I thank you all for supporting these conscious efforts to better our lives. Thank you for the six-figure party support. If you wish to support, like and subscribe to Franco Jazz YouTube page, or do the Venmo thing, or this virtual, whatever it is that they have now. We all get used to. However, just want to say thank you. Stay well, stay healthy, and let's have more fun. See you Friday at Urban Wine and Liquor over at Windows for the open stage. If you're a musician, show up. Do your 2 songs, 3 songs, and let's have fun. Peace.